The courtroom was full. People sat quietly waiting for the next case to start. Some looked bored, some whispered, others scrolled on their phones. Then the side door opened, and a small boy walked in. He looked no older than 14. His clothes were too big, his shoes didn't match, and his hair was messy. His eyes moved quickly, like a scared animal in a cage. He wasn't holding anyone's hand. No mother, no father, no one. A few people in the courtroom chuckled softly. "Who's this street kid?" one man whispered. Even the clerk raised an eyebrow, but the boy said nothing. He just walked to the defendant's chair and sat down. His hands were shaking. He kept his head down. Across the room stood a tall, confident man in a sharp gray suit. His name was Mr. Brandon Carter, the city's youngest and most famous prosecutor. He smiled when he saw the boy. "This will be quick," he muttered to the bailiff. "Poor kids never last long." The judge walked in, an older woman with glasses and tired eyes. Everyone stood. "Court is now in session," she said. The boy didn't move until the guard tapped his shoulder. He jumped up, clearly confused. The judge looked down at him. "Name." The boy spoke so softly no one could hear. "Speak up," said Mr. Carter loudly. "The court can't hear whispers." The boy cleared his throat. "My name is Ali Noor." The judge nodded. "Ali Noor, you are accused of stealing a wallet from the central train station. Do you understand the charge?" Ali blinked fast. "I didn't steal it. Just answer yes or no," Mr. Carter snapped. Ali lowered his head again. "Yes, Your Honor." A few people in the courtroom laughed. Mr. Carter stood tall. "Your Honor, this boy was caught near the station with a wallet in his pocket. The owner had just reported it missing. The case is clear." "Do you have the owner's statement?" the judge asked. "Yes," Mr. Carter said proudly. "Signed and recorded." The judge looked at Ali. "Do you have a lawyer?" Ali shook his head. "No, ma'am. I don't have anyone." There was an awkward silence. Then a door opened from the back, and a young woman stepped in, holding a file. "Your Honor," she said quickly, "I've been assigned to represent the defendant. Sorry for the delay." The judge nodded. "Proceed, Ms. Amna Raza," the woman said. She walked quickly to Ali's side and gave him a gentle look. "We'll figure this out together, okay?" Ali nodded slowly. Amna opened the file and frowned. "Your Honor, I just received the case, but I request a little time to review the details." "Denied," said Mr. Carter. "This case is simple. He stole a wallet. He was caught. What more do we need?" "Maybe the truth," Amna replied sharply. The crowd murmured. The judge sighed. "We'll hear both sides. Proceed, Mr. Carter." Mr. Carter walked to the center. "Ladies and gentlemen, what do you see when you look at this boy?" he asked. "Dirty shoes, torn shirt, no family in court, and caught with someone else's wallet in his pocket." He looked straight at Ali. "Sometimes, Your Honor, things are exactly as they look." Ali gripped the edge of his chair. Amna stood. "Your Honor, may I ask the boy a few questions?" The judge nodded. Amn knelt beside Ali and spoke softly. "Tell the court what happened." Ali looked around nervously. Then he looked at her kind eyes. I was at the train station," he said. "I saw a man drop his wallet. I tried to catch up, but he was gone." "Why didn't you take it to the police?" Amna asked gently. Ali looked down. "I did." Mr. Carter laughed. "Oh, please." Ali continued. "I gave it to the officer near gate 3. He said thank you. Then he looked inside, and suddenly, he said I stole it." "Do you remember the officer's name?" Amna asked. "No," Ali whispered. Mr. Carter stood. "This is nonsense. There's no record of any wallet being returned." Ali's lips trembled. "I didn't steal it. I swear." The judge held up her hand. "That's enough for now. We'll continue this afternoon. Court is in recess." She banged her gavel, and everyone began to stand. As the courtroom emptied, Mr. Carter walked past Amna and whispered, "You're wasting your time, defending street trash." Amna turned sharply. "He's a child, not trash." Mr. Carter smirked. "Let's see how long your truth holds up in court." He walked away. Amna sat next to Ali. "Did you really give it to the police?" she asked. Ali nodded. "I remember his face. He had a scar on his cheek." That made Amna pause. She scribbled something in her notebook. "Ali," she said, "I believe you, but we need to prove it." Ali looked surprised. "You believe me?" "Yes," she said, "because I've seen how fast people like you get blamed." Ali's eyes filled with tears, but he didn't let them fall. "No one ever believed me before," he whispered. Amen. It gave him a small smile. "Then today, we changed that." Outside the courtroom, people continued to laugh and gossip. "Poor boy doesn't stand a chance. Carter's never lost a case. He'll crush the kid." But inside that small courtroom, something had started to change. A boy who had no voice now had someone to speak for him, and the woman who just arrived was about to uncover a truth that would leave the entire courtroom speechless. Because what Ali knew, and what others wanted to hide, was only beginning to come out. The courtroom reopened after lunch. People returned to their seats, still whispering about the boy from the morning. Some believed he was guilty, others weren't sure anymore. But one thing was clear, the story was not simple. Ali sat quietly next to his lawyer, Amna Raza. His fingers trembled, and his eyes looked heavy, like he hadn't slept in days. Mr. Brandon Carter, the prosecutor, looked confident as ever. He checked his tie in a mirror, then walked to the front like he owned the place. "All rise," the bailiff called out. The judge returned, and the trial continued. Mr. Carter stood tall and proud. "Your Honor, the facts remain unchanged. The boy was found with the stolen wallet. The owner confirms it. The officer confirms it." He pointed to a police officer sitting on the side. "That officer," Carter said, "was the one who arrested the boy. And now, he's here to testify." The officer stepped up. He was a tall man with a scar on his cheek, just as Ali had described earlier. Ali's eyes widened. "That's him," he whispered to Amna. "That's the one." Amna nodded, watching closely. The officer raised his hand and swore to tell the truth. Then he spoke in a loud, clear voice. "I was at the central train station that day. Around 11 a.m., I saw the boy acting suspicious near the benches. He was holding a wallet, looking around nervously. I stopped him. He had no ID, and the wallet had someone else's name inside. He didn't explain clearly how he got it." Ali stood up suddenly. "That's not true," he shouted. "Sit down, Ali," the judge said firmly. Amna placed her hand on his shoulder. "It's okay. We'll speak when it's our turn." Mr. Carter smiled like he had already won. After the officer stepped down, the wallet's owner was called. An older man in a suit came forward. He looked annoyed, as if being in court was wasting his time. "Do you recognize this boy?" Carter asked. The man looked at Ali. "I saw him at the station that morning. I dropped my wallet, and later the police told me this boy had it." "Did you give him permission to take it?" "Of course not," the man said. "I don't even know him." Mr. Carter turned to the judge. "Your Honor, the witnesses are clear. The boy had no reason to hold the wallet. This case is done." He sat down with a smug smile, but Amna stood up calmly. "Your Honor, may I ask the boy a few questions?" "Go ahead," the judge said. Turned to Ali. "Can you tell us again what happened that day?" Ali nodded slowly. His voice was soft but clear. "I was sitting near the station wall. I saw the man, the one in the suit, drop his wallet. I called out, but he didn't hear me. I picked it up and looked around for him. Then I saw a police officer, so I walked over to him and gave him the wallet." "Which officer?" Amna asked. Ali pointed. "That one, the one with the scar." Everyone turned. The officer shifted in his seat. "And what did he say?" Amna continued. "He took the wallet. He looked inside. And then his face changed. He grabbed my arm and said, 'I stole it.'" "Did you resist?" Ali shook his head. "No, I was scared. I kept saying I found it, but he didn't listen." Amna walked slowly toward the judge. "Your Honor, my client has no criminal record. He's 14. He has no history of lying or stealing, and he has no family to protect him." She paused and looked around the courtroom. "But what he does have is truth. He even described the officer before seeing him today, right down to the scar on his face. That detail matters." Mr. Carter interrupted. "Objection. That proves nothing." "On the contrary," Amna replied, "it proves he remembers everything clearly because he lived it." The judge nodded slowly. "Continue." Amna turned to the police officer. "Sir, do the train station security cameras work?" The officer hesitated. "I am not sure." "Really? You work there every day?" "I don't handle cameras." Amna narrowed her eyes. "Do you know if there's a camera near gate 3? The officer paused. "There might be." The courtroom grew quiet. Amna looked at the judge. "Your Honor, I request access to the CCTV footage from gate 3 of the train station, the place where my client says he handed over the wallet." Mr. Carter jumped up. "There's no need for that. The evidence is clear." "Then you shouldn't be afraid of one small video," Amna cut in. The judge raised a hand. "Request granted. We will pause this case until tomorrow. Court is adjourned for the day." Bang. Ali let out a breath he'd been holding all day. Amna looked at him and smiled. "Tomorrow, we'll get the truth," Ali whispered. "What if they erase the footage? Then we find someone who can help us recover it." She stood up and packed her files. Ali looked up at her. "No one's ever fought for me before," he said. Na smiled softly. "Then let me be the first." The next morning, the courtroom was quiet but tense. People whispered more than before. They had seen the boy's face. They had heard his words. And now, they weren't sure he was guilty anymore. Ali sat beside his lawyer, Amna, his small hands folded tightly in his lap. He didn't look around. He didn't smile. He just stared at the courtroom door, waiting for the truth to come in. Mr. Carter entered, his usual smirk in place. But something in his walk felt different, faster, tighter. He wasn't smiling as much as yesterday. The judge entered. A few minutes later, "I'll rise," the clerk said. Everyone stood. The judge sat and looked straight at Amna. "Ms. Raza, have you obtained the security footage?" Amna stood. "Yes, Your Honor. But there's a problem." The courtroom held its breath. "What kind of problem?" asked the judge. Amna looked directly at the police officer sitting at the side. "The one with the scar," The security team at the train station told me the footage from Gate 3 has been deleted. Gasps. Whispers. Mr. Carter stood quickly. While sometimes systems crash, that happens. Amna turned. It didn't crash, Mr. Carter. Someone requested the footage to be manually deleted. Just last night. The judge's eyes narrowed, and Amna added, it was someone using a city police login. Ali looked up, his heart racing. Mr. Carter tried to speak, but the judge raised her hand. Ms. Raza, do you have proof? Amna nodded and held up a printed document. This is from the station's IT department. It shows that at 9:14 p.m., someone using Officer 671's ID requested the footage to be erased. Everyone turned to look at the scar-faced officer. His face turned red. That's not possible, he stuttered. I wasn't even near a computer. The judge leaned forward. Do you deny that this is your ID? The officer didn't answer. Amna stepped forward. Your Honor, I believe this officer not only arrested the boy without real evidence, but also destroyed the proof that could free him. Mr. Carter shouted, this is just a distraction, but the judge snapped. Quiet, Mr. Carter. Suddenly, the courtroom door opened. A young court assistant, the same one who had overheard Carter's call, stepped inside. She walked quickly to the judge and whispered something. The judge's eyes widened. She nodded, then looked at the courtroom. Bring her in, she said. The door opened again. This time, an older woman entered, the head of station security. She carried a laptop in her hands. Your Honor, she said, we recovered a backup file. The footage that was deleted from Gate 3. People sat up straight. Mr. Carter's face turned pale. The lights dimmed slightly, and the video was shown on the screen. Everyone watched closely. There was Ali sitting near a wall, wearing the same oversized clothes. Then a man walked past. The wallet fell from his pocket. Ali stood up quickly, called after the man, looked around, then picked it up. He turned and walked straight to a police officer. The camera zoomed slightly. The officer with a scar on his cheek looked inside the wallet, then suddenly grabbed Ali by the arm. The video ended. Silence. Total silence. The judge looked stunned. Mr. Carter was speechless. Amn stood calmly. This boy did not steal anything. The judge turned to the officer. Do you have anything to say? He stood frozen. Then he sat down slowly, face in hands. The judge looked furious. We will pause this session and investigate this act of evidence tampering. But one thing is clear. This child is innocent. She turned to Ali. You are free to go. Ali stared at her, not understanding at first. Then he turned to Amna. I can leave. She smiled. Yes, it's over, Ali. Tears filled his eyes. But she wasn't done yet. Your Honor, Amna said. One more thing. She held up a file. This case almost ruined a boy's life. And this wasn't a mistake. It was done with intention. She looked straight at Mr. Carter. This file contains a list of past cases, all prosecuted by Mr. Carter. Many of them involve poor children, no lawyers, and no evidence. We believe this wasn't the first time. Gasps. Mr. Carter jumped up. This is outrageous. But the judge only stared at him. Then you have nothing to fear, she said coldly. Court will reopen tomorrow, and we will look deeper into every case you've handled. Mr. Carter's hands shook. Ali looked at him, not with anger, but with quiet strength. For the first time, the boy wasn't afraid anymore. Outside the courtroom, people came to Ali. Some gave him food, others gave him hugs. One man simply said, I'm sorry. Amna stood beside him. What do you want to do now? She asked. Ali looked up. I want to go back to school. Amna smiled. Then we'll make sure you can. But as they walked away, Ali didn't know that someone had been watching from the back. A man in a black coat, someone who once knew Ali's mother, someone who had left a long time ago. And now, he wanted to return. A forgotten part of Ali's past was about to walk back into his life. Ali walked out of the courtroom for the first time. Free. The wind felt different on his face. The air felt warmer. He had spent days in fear. No food, no family, no voice. Now, people called him the brave boy who told the truth. But the truth wasn't finished yet, because someone had been watching him from far away. A man, silent, still hiding behind a newspaper on a bench across the street. His eyes stayed fixed on Ali. When Ali smiled at Amna and walked away, the man whispered to himself, he looks just like her. Later that evening, Amna sat with Ali at a small cafe. She had bought him a hot sandwich and some milk. Ali ate quietly. Then he looked up. Miss Amna, why did they want to lie about me? Amna sighed. Because it was easier. You were small. You had no one. You couldn't fight back. Ali looked down. They almost won. But they didn't, she said, touching his shoulder gently. Because you spoke the truth. Ali stared at the street. You're the only one who believed me. You gave me a reason to believe, Amna said. Just then, her phone buzzed. She looked at the screen. It was a message from someone at the court records office. You asked for old case files connected to Prosecutor Carter. We found something strange. Amna's heart skipped. She opened the message fully. The assistant had sent her a photo of an old case file from 5 years ago. A theft case involving a young woman named Samina Noor. Amna's eyes narrowed. Ali, your full name is Ali Noor, right? Yes. Did your mother's name happen to be Samina? Ali froze. He nodded. Yes, but she died when I was little. Amna looked again at the file. I think your mother once stood in the same courtroom years ago. The next day Amna visited the courthouse records room. There, an old worker handed her a dusty brown file. This was almost buried, he said. It wasn't in the main list. Someone had marked it as closed without review. Amna opened the file. It was about a woman, Samina Nir, age 23, accused of shoplifting. She had no lawyer, no support, and the prosecutor was Brandon Carter. Amna read every line. The details felt wrong. The woman was accused of stealing baby food and medicine. She was sentenced to 6 months in jail. Then Amna saw it. A note, written at the bottom of the file, has a child, male, around 8 years old. No listed guardian. Amna whispered. That child was Ali. Later that night, Amna met Ali again. Ali, do you remember anything about your mother's arrest? Ali shook his head. Only that she cried a lot before she left. She told me to be brave. Then a man came and took me to a shelter. What happened after that? I kept moving. Shelter to shelter. I lost everything. Even her photo. Amna gently pulled out the case file. Your mother's name is in this. She was arrested by the same man who tried to destroy your life. Ali's eyes widened. Mr. Carter. Amna nodded. Yes, he did this before. To your mother? Ali sat in silence. Then he asked, did she really steal? Amna paused. She might have, but she was buying food for you. Meanwhile, Mr. Carter sat in his home office. He had received a copy of the message too. He knew Amna was digging into his past cases. He slammed a glass of wine on the table and shouted, this girl won't stop. Then his assistant rushed in. Sir, there's a problem. Someone's filed for a review of all your juvenile cases. Carter froze. If this continues, they'll know everything. Back at the shelter where Ali once lived, an older woman, named Sister Huma, opened her drawer. She pulled out an envelope she had kept for years. A photo letter, written by a woman named Samina. Noor. She read the letter again. If my son ever finds his way back, please tell him I never stopped loving him. She folded the letter and looked up. Then she picked up the phone and called Amna. Later that week, Ali returned to court, but not as a criminal. He sat beside Amna as they gave their report to the judge, exposing Prosecutor Carter's pattern. Ali's story was just one of many. The courtroom was quiet again, but this time, they weren't mocking him. They were listening, and in the back of the room, stood the same man in the black coat. He walked forward slowly after the hearing, stopped a few feet away from Ali. Amna looked up, ready to protect him, but the man removed his cap. His voice cracked. Ali. Ali stared. You don't know me, but I knew your mother a long time ago. Who are you? Ali whispered. I'm your uncle. Ali's world turned again. In 1 week, he had gone from being a boy with no one, to being heard, defended, and now, maybe, found. But was this man really telling the truth? Was he family, or just another shadow from the past? Only time, and one final truth, could answer that. Ali stared at the man in front of him. The courtroom was nearly empty now. People had gone. The lights were dim. But this moment felt louder than any shouting trial. The man took a slow breath. My name is Rashid Noor. I'm your uncle, your mother. Samina was my younger sister. Ali didn't speak. He didn't even blink. He had no memory of this man. Amna stepped in. If this is true, why now? Why are you coming forward after all these years? Rashid looked down at his shoes. I didn't know where he was. After Samina was arrested, the system lost track of her son. I searched shelters, made calls, even offered rewards, but no one helped. Then I left the country for work. Years passed. He looked at Ali. When I saw your face on the news, I knew. That was Samina's son. Ali finally spoke. You left us. Rashid's eyes filled with guilt. Yes, and I won't forgive myself, but I want to make it right. I still have something. He pulled out an old folded piece of paper. Ali opened it. It was a drawing. A child's drawing. A small boy holding hands with a smiling woman at the bottom. It said in shaky letters, me and Mama. Ali gasped. I drew this. I remember now. Amna watched Ali's hand shake. This wasn't just a visit. This was the beginning of a deeper truth. Later that night, Amna and Rashid sat in her office going through files. Rashid handed her a black folder. I don't know if this will help, he said, but I found these papers while going through my sister's old things. Amna opened the folder, and her eyes widened. Inside were copies of letters Samina wrote to the court, letters that were never added to her official case. In one of them, Samina begged for mercy. I didn't steal out of greed. I stole. To feed my son, I had no help, no home, no money. In another, she said, Mr. Carter never listened to my words. He laughed when I cried. He didn't see a mother, just a criminal. Amna slammed her hand on the desk. These letters, this could prove misconduct. But why were they never seen? Rashid asked. Because someone wanted them hidden, Amna replied. She pulled out her phone. We're taking this straight to the judge. The next morning in court, the judge called everyone in for a special hearing. Amna stood before her, holding the black folder. Your Honor, new evidence has come to light. These are original letters written by Samina Noor, the mother of Ali Noor, 5 years ago. during a case handled by Mr. Brandon Carter. Mr. Carter stood across the room, face stiff. Amna continued. These letters were never presented in court, never logged into the case file, and never read by any judge. Someone buried them. Gasps filled the courtroom. The judge opened the folder and read the first page. Her expression changed. Mr. Carter stepped forward. Your Honor, this is highly irregular, but the judge raised a hand. Mr. Carter, were you the sole prosecutor on Misner's case? Yes, but did you personally handle the evidence collection? He hesitated. I don't remember. The judge's voice grew cold. These letters are real. They're signed and dated. The question is, why weren't they entered into record? Rashid stood and asked to speak. I watched my sister suffer. She died thinking the world had forgotten her. He pointed at Ali and this boy. Her son was nearly destroyed the same way. Mr. Carter tried to speak again, but his voice cracked. This is all just emotional drama. It doesn't change anything. The judge replied, it changes everything. After the session, Amna and Ali stepped outside the court. Ali looked up at her. Do you think people will remember my mom differently now? Amna smiled. They already do. Rashid stood behind him, quiet, respectful. I don't want to take her place, he said, but I want to give you a home, Ali. Ali nodded slowly. I think she'd like that. It was early morning. The court building stood quiet under gray skies. But inside, tension was rising. Everyone knew something big was coming. The case had started with a poor boy accused of stealing, but now it had become a storm. A storm that was about to break over Brandon Carter, the proud prosecutor who had once mocked a child in open court. Amna stood in her office, holding the flash drive with the hallway video. She watched it one more time, Carter handing off the documents and saying, get rid of these. No one needs to read old sob stories. It was all the proof she needed, but what she didn't expect was what she found next. As she reviewed Carter's past case files, something caught her eye. A name that showed up again and again. Samir Malik. The same name appeared in 6 of Carter's closed cases, always as the complainant. A man claimed his phone was stolen. A boy was blamed. Another case, a stolen jacket. Same name, then a missing necklace. Samir Malik again. Amna frowned. Why was the same man involved in so many theft cases, and all the accused were poor teenagers? She dug deeper, and then she found it. Samir Malik was Carter's cousin. Her hands shook. Now it was clear. They were working together. Samir would fake thefts. Carter would press charges. Poor boys, easy targets. No lawyers, no help. They were feeding the system with false crimes. And Ali was almost another victim. Later that day, Amna called Rashid and Ali to her office. There's something you need to see, she said. She showed them the names, the files, the patterns. Ali leaned forward. You mean this was a trap? Amna nodded. Yes. You weren't just unlucky, Ali. You were targeted. Rashid clenched his fists. How many other kids went through this? Too many, Amna whispered. Then she looked at Ali. You started this, with your voice. And now, we finish it. The next day, the courtroom was packed. News reporters stood outside. Cameras rolled inside. Ali sat calmly next to Amna. He wasn't the scared boy anymore. He had seen the truth, and now he was ready to speak it. The judge looked serious as she entered. We are here today not for punishment, but for justice, she said. Amna stood. Your Honor, the original case against my client was not only false, it was part of a larger system of lies. She handed the judge a file. This contains records of past cases handled by Mr. Carter, with fake thefts, planted stories, and his cousin listed as the main witness, all designed to punish poor children. Carter stood, red-faced. This is a personal attack. That boy is lying. That lawyer is twisting everything. The judge raised her hand. Then perhaps the courtroom footage will explain, she said coldly. A screen turned on. The hallway video played. Everyone watched as Carter whispered, get rid of these. No one needs to read old sob stories. Silence. Carter's lips parted, but no words came out. The judge spoke firmly. Mr. Carter, you are under investigation for evidence, destruction, case tampering, and abuse of power. The courtroom erupted. Reporters rushed out to file their stories. Carter stood frozen. Amna turned to Ali and gave him a proud nod. You did this. Ali blinked back tears. Rashid placed a hand on his shoulder. After court, people gathered around Ali. Some thanked him. Others asked about his mother. One old woman even cried. I remember Samina, she said. She was kind, and now her son is brave. That evening, Amna received another message from a judge on the Children's Protection Board. Because of your case, we're reopening 34 files of wrongly accused minors. Amna smiled. Ali had become a voice for many. Later, under the soft streetlights, Ali sat with Rashid on a bench. He looked up at the stars. I feel like she's watching. Rashid nodded. I think she is. Ali held the drawing he once made me and Mama. She never gave up on me, he whispered. And you didn't give up on her, Rashid said. Ali smiled. For the first time, it wasn't a sad smile, it was peace. The courtroom felt heavier than ever before, not because of the crowd, not because of the cameras, but because today, the truth was about a mother not a case. Ali sat in the front row, holding the old photo of his mother Samina, stared at it every night since his uncle Rashid gave it to him. Her smile gave him strength. Today, her name would finally be heard, not as a criminal, but as a mother who was silenced. The judge looked around the room. Today, we reopen the file of Sumina Nur, charged with theft 6 years ago. Her case was closed without full legal review. Her son Ali Nur, now represented by Ms. Amna Raza, has requested that truth be heard for the first time. Amna stood. Your Honor, the original case was handled by Brandon Carter. It involved a single mother accused of stealing baby formula and medicine for her child. She paused, letting the words sink in. But there is something this courtroom never heard, because Carter hid it. She lifted a folded page. This was removed from the original file. The judge opened it. Gasps echoed through the courtroom. It was a handwritten letter, a statement Samina had written but was never submitted. In her words, she explained, I didn't steal for greed. I stole because my son had a fever. I had no money, no job, and I had already been turned away from every clinic. I begged the shopkeeper to let me take the medicine and return the money the next day. He refused. I panicked. I took it. I regret my mistake, but I am not a criminal. I am just a mother trying to save her child. Tears filled Amna's eyes. Tears filled Ali's too. The judge looked stunned. She turned to the clerk. Was this letter ever entered in evidence? No, Your Honor. It was marked, but never attached. Amna stepped forward. And it gets worse. When Sumina asked for a lawyer, she was denied one. The case was rushed through in under 10 minutes. Whispers filled the room. Ali's voice suddenly broke through. She went to jail because she tried to keep me alive. The courtroom fell silent again. In the back row, Rashid wiped his face. Amna walked to the center of the room. Your Honor, I ask that this court not only clear Samina Noor's name, but that it declares her a victim of injustice, failed by a broken system that punished kindness and ignored pain. The judge took a long pause. Then she spoke. With this new evidence and the wrongful handling of the case, the court officially overturns the conviction of Samina Noor. Ali let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. The judge continued. This woman was not a thief. She was a mother, abandoned by society. As the crowd began to clap, Ali stood up. He walked to the front, stood beside Amna, and turned to the judge. May I say something? The judge nodded. Ali looked around the courtroom. For years I thought my mom was bad. I thought she left me. I thought she didn't fight. His voice shook. But she did fight. She just lost. He looked at the folded letter again. I want everyone to know. She didn't leave me. She protected me. And I will spend the rest of my life making sure her story is not forgotten. The judge's eyes softened. You are your mother's justice, Ali. Outside, the sky was golden with evening light. Reporters rushed toward Ali, cameras flashing, but this time, he didn't look scared. He stood tall like the son of a hero. A reporter asked, Ali, how do you feel now that your mother's name is cleared? Ali looked straight into the camera. She was never guilty. The system was. That night, Ali and Rashid visited the cemetery. They stood at a small grave with no name carved on the stone. Rashid held a small plaque together. They placed it in the ground. It read, Samina Noor, a mother, a fighter, not forgotten. Ali whispered, we did it, Ami. A soft breeze touched his face, and in that quiet moment, it felt like she heard him. But while Ali found peace, one final piece of the puzzle was still hidden. Far away, in a locked city office drawer, a secret birth document sat untouched. One that could change everything Ali believed about who he was, and who his real father might be. Weeks had passed since the courtroom cleared Samina Noor's name. Ali's life had changed. People didn't look at him like a thief anymore. They looked at him with respect, and something else. Hope. He had become a symbol, a voice for forgotten children, a reminder that even the smallest truth can shake the biggest lie. But even as the world moved on, one question still lived in Ali's heart. Who was my father? He had never asked before. Maybe because he didn't want to know, or maybe because he was scared of the answer. He was ready. One morning, Amna received a call from the Child Welfare Office. Miss Raza, the woman said, you had asked us to search for any sealed records tied to Ali Noor's case. Yes, Amna replied. Well, we found something. A birth certificate. Amna paused. Who's listed as the father? The woman on the phone hesitated. Named Haris Zaman. Amna's heart skipped. She knew that name. He was once a young lawyer, years ago. And now, he was a judge in another city. And more than that, he once worked with Brandon Carter. Later that day, Amna told Ali, your father's name is Haris Zaman. Ali looked confused. Was he like Carter? Amna shook her head. No, from what I know, he was kind, smart, but he left the city before you were born. Maybe, he never even knew you existed. Ali sat silently. I don't know if I want to see him, he said quietly. What if he left us on purpose? Amna gently handed him a letter. I found in the sealed file. It was from Haris, written to Samina many years ago. Samina, I am leaving the city, not because I want to, but because I must. I don't know what Carter is planning, but it's wrong. I've seen him hurt people like us, just to rise in power. I'll return for you, I promise. And when I do, I'll take care of you and the baby. If you're reading this and I haven't come back, I'm sorry. I hope he grows up to be like you. Haris Ali's fingers shook. He didn't leave because of us. Amna nodded. He was trying to protect both of you. 2 weeks later, Amna arranged a meeting. Ali stood at the edge of a quiet garden in Lahore. A man in a dark gray suit walked toward him, mid-40s, neat hair, tired eyes. He stopped a few steps away. Ali? He asked. Ali nodded slowly. The man took off his glasses. His voice cracked. I'm Haris. Ali didn't speak at first. Then finally, why? Didn't you come back? Haris swallowed hard. I tried. But when I returned, your mother was gone. I searched everywhere, but no one told me where they sent her. The system buried her. Ali looked down. She thought you left her. Haris's eyes filled with tears. I didn't. I loved her. Ali handed him the letter. She had kept it, held it like gold. They sat together on a bench for over an hour. No big words, just small ones. Questions, memories, regrets. But something unspoken passed between them. Not forgiveness, but understanding. Later, back in court, Amna stood before the judge one last time. Your Honor, on behalf of Ali Noor, I request official closure of all charges, sealing of his juvenile record, and full legal recognition of Mr. Haris Zaman as Ali's father with his consent. The judge smiled. Approved. The courtroom clapped softly. Ali looked across the room, where Rashid stood, proud, and next to him, Haris. Two men who had come from different places to stand with one boy. Outside the court, a reporter asked, Ali, what's next for you? Ali looked at the sky, smiling. Maybe I'll become a lawyer, like my mom wanted. He paused. Or maybe I'll become a voice for kids like me. The reporter asked one last thing. What do you want people to remember from your story? Ali thought for a second. Then he said softly, that broken kids aren't broken forever. They just need someone to believe in them. And with that, he walked away, not as a suspect, not as a victim, but as a survivor. A son, a new beginning.